Riot recently came out with a new take on auto chess, or the auto battler genre, and it came out a couple days ago. It was in beta before that, but it's called Team Fortress 2. And wait. Hello everyone, I hope you're doing fine. My name is Skyline, and today we're going to talk a little bit about TFT, or Teamfight Tactics, and also the value of being really good at a game, a couple days after it comes out and stuff. I'm going to talk a little bit about my stream, and of course I've been getting some feedback lately that my room's a little bit barren, which it is because I'm a bit of a minimalist, but I've gotten some suggestions like putting trophies back there to make myself look more credible. Unfortunately, I haven't really accomplished anything in my life, so I don't have any trophies to put back there, but I do have the two next best things, which are acoustic panels, because you can't be legit YouTuber without acoustic panels, and a dog, so those should hopefully help a little bit. Well, I guess we lost the dog, but we still have the acoustic panels, so I guess that's fine. Now, I was actually going to wait until I played Teamfight Tactics because I had a great idea from a lot of viewers to stream, do a series where I take a game that I don't know anything about and I bring it from basically 0 to hero sort of thing, like 0 to whatever the highest rank is, and go over my learning process and sort of my thought process on how I acquire the skill of the game, which is a fantastic idea. But I couldn't stop myself, so I had to play the game a few days ago when it first came out. So I'll put some gameplay footage of that on the screen. Overall, I think that it did some interesting changes over auto chess, particularly the time management. I thought was a really big deal. It was kind of a challenge knowing when I should go up and get some water or go to the bathroom. And I had to do it relatively quickly because in case the queue popped, I needed to be back in time to click the green button to, I guess, go to the next level of the game or something. But yeah, overall, I thought that I guess I just wasn't very good at it. I saw some really good streamers. They had like armies and stuff. I guess that's only if you're really good. You sort of get past that first level. So I'm going to work on my mechanics a little bit, and we'll see what we can do with it. Speaking of really, really good streamers, Riot came out with the beta ranking system. This was a few days ago. This video was supposed to be a couple days ago, so it's a bit old news, but whatever. It was a few days ago, they came out with the MMR ranking, and of course, as a result for beta, you got a lot of people who were gloating, a lot of fans who were, and this, you're not going to stop this, a lot of fans talking about who's the best, like, oh wow, this person's top 10, wow, Hyped got top 100, he's really good, Disguised Toast, he wasn't even in the top rankings, what's he doing, wow. And then so there's a lot of examples of this. I generally don't go around recording everything I see, so I don't have a lot of it, but what did make me hit the record button is when I saw the reaction to, and Hafu's reaction to, her getting top 1 in the leaderboard. And I have nothing against Hafu. She just happens to have a lot of articles written about her on the subject, and she was the most dramatic reaction. So unlucky for her, I guess. And now I'm going to put all these links and clips and stuff in the description below so you can watch it yourself. You don't need to take my word if you don't want to. But basically, Hafu on stream got pretty emotional once Riot released the leaderboard. And remember, this leaderboard was just for fun. Like, even Riot said, this is just for fun. It's just a leaderboard. It was just beta. But Hafu got really emotional about it, and she sort of made this sort of really strong statement where she related this to all of her past achievements, which she does have past achievements, like she was quite good at Bloodline Champions and WoW Arena, and Hearthstone, I think, was what she was most famous for, eventually, Hearthstone Arena. And so she's quite good, obviously. She's obviously not a bad player at a variety of different games, but she related all of that to her achievement in the TFT beta and made sort of a statement about women empowerment in esports, and then a bunch of articles picked up on it too. This is a quote, "It's kind of hard for girls to get respect in gaming, and I've always had my accomplishments squandered, like when I won tournaments or when I was at the top of leaderboards, people would say like, oh yeah," and I'm not quoting her anymore, but basically people would write her off. She brought up when she was apparently top 8 in Hearthstone Arena, and Blizzard refused to release the stats because people thought that she wasn't as good as other people, but she actually was in the leaderboard, whatever. And that's all good and well. I actually don't have any problem with any of that. That's all super good. And it makes it hard to actually interact with, because if you put sort of a BS statement into a bunch of really good, true, proper statements, it becomes very difficult to say anything about that false statement, because people will then defend all these things and they have a hard time breaking it up. But if we ignore all that and only focus on what she was saying, which is somehow this is proven that she's like the best TFT player, that ain't true. Let's talk about this from just what it means to be really good at a game on day 2 or day 3 or day 4. So in a recent video, I talked a lot about learning something from the ground up, and how a lot of well-designed games have what I call, or some people call, noob traps. And these are meant for new players or worse players to very quickly be able to play on a high skill level. Or not a high skill level, but like a much higher skill level than they actually are. So the game's more fun. DBZ Fighters recently did a really good job of this with auto combos. Traditionally, fighting games have a very hard entry curve for new players, but in DBZ, you can just smash one button and you get an auto combo. It's not ideal, it's not going to do the most damage. In fact, it doesn't even do close to optimal damage, but you can use it as a new player and do pretty decent damage right off the bat. In Counter-Strike, you have the P90, which is a gun with low recoil. You can move while you're shooting it. It's not a very good gun. It's a very overpriced, expensive gun, but a new player can pick up a P90 and do really well with it, even though there are better guns once you get very good at the game, right? So lots of well-designed games have this in order to allow new players to get into the game a little bit more easily. And then the idea is that they eventually transition over to the better strats once they are more invested in the game. But if a game's only been out for 2 or 3 days, then the players who are going to be the best will be the ones who are simply the best at the noob trap strats, because all the rest of the players won't have had enough time to develop their skills and actually transcend, I guess, to the higher strats enough to beat the noob trap strats yet. You get what I'm saying? So probably the players who are at the top of the TFT leaderboard just found like one really good strat, or one probably just straight up overpowered broken strat. Let's forget about the fact that betas generally are not perfectly balanced, but they probably just picked one really OP strat that they could just spam endlessly over and over and over again, and just did that. That's what I would do if I wanted to be top 100 of a game on day 2. How, like, Disguised Toast, for example. Oh, why wasn't Disguised Toast on the top of the leaderboard? You know why? Because he was trying a bunch of stuff. He was just doing random stuff. Like, he was trying out random strats. He was maybe having some fun, as you might call it, but he wasn't just grinding like whatever the best strat was. He was exploring the game and doing a bunch of different things, as I'm imagining a lot of players were. And that's what you want to do if you want to become good at a game. You don't care about being good at a game on day 2 or day 3 or day 4. You want to be good at the game on day 30 or day 60, right at the end of whatever the season is, if it's a seasonal game, which requires you to learn the entire game. Sure, that there might be that person over there spamming reversals or spamming P90 or something, but you're like, I understand that that's not going to work in 5 days, so I'm going to back off and I'm going to like learn the rest of the game, right? And the players who did that would not have ranked very highly unless they were superbly, insanely good, right, at the time. So in reality, it's not relevant at all. And let's also talk about the cultural implication, right? Because we're talking about this in terms of it's something that is really inspirational for women or girls or anyone who wants to get into gaming or something. Is it really? Is it really? Because in the past 2 years, like I said, Twitch culture has really shifted towards being super good at a game super early on. And the most extreme example, you have like Artifact, which was ridiculous. That was the most extreme possible case of that, where you had players in a 1 year long closed beta, and by the end of the beta, essentially they had decided among themselves who the best players were, and when the game launched, they're like, yeah, sorry guys, I know that we only had like 200 active players, and now there's 70,000 active players, but just trust us, these are who the best players are, these are what the best strategies are, if you don't do this, you're bad, we already know everything, and also invite us to all the tournaments, please, for all of our free money. But imagine if you're a child, or just, I don't know, any impressionable person, young adult, whatever, looking at this. I've definitely noticed in the past couple of years, talking to particularly, like I said, children who watch Twitch streamers, they are not empowered at all. if anything, they are their power is being taken away, because the focus is and the emphasis is on, you need to be good right away. You need to be good right off the bat. You need to be talented. It's not about hard work. It's not about effort. It's not about practicing something over a long period of time. Like on day one, if you're not good at the game, you're bad. And what you get is you get a girl who I talked to who she was like, yeah, I'm not good at this game. I'm like, oh, well, you're not good at it? Like, how much have you played it? This was at, when was this? This is at Thanksgiving, yes. And she's like, yeah, I'm just not good at that game. I said, oh, well, how much have you played it? Have you tried it a lot? She said, yeah, I played it one time. It wasn't good, so I'm not good. I think she was like 8 years old or something. And I think I said something like, oh, well, I bet if you practice more, you'll be good. And then she got distracted and she walked away. There's another time I was at dinner and I was talking to a kid and he learned that I was a YouTuber. And he was like, oh, man, I've always wanted to be a YouTuber. That's so cool. I think he was 8 years old. Like, wow, YouTubers are really cool. And he said something similar. I don't recall exactly what it was, but it was something like, yeah, I wish I was good at games. And I said, well, just if you practice a lot, you'll be good. And he was like, yeah, I tried. Like, I play a game and I'm just not good at it. And then I dropped the conversation because I'm not going to get into like a deep conversation with someone else's kid at dinner. But I've seen that so much, like 2 times by myself. That's a lot of times, right? And then I see it online. I see that sentiment happen on Reddit and stuff. And yeah, it's not empowering anyone. But let's talk about a little bit of more of a dark side about how it's especially not empowering anyone. And that's because of the dishonesty. Because Hafu was talking about how it's so empowering that she was #1 in the beta of TFT. And like I said, I don't want to really pick on Hafu specifically. Think of this more in general. She just happens to be the example that was thrown in front of me the day I happened to want to make this video. Because everyone does this nowadays. Well, guess what? There was a whitelist. There was in case you don't know, to get into the beta, you had to go into a queue because the servers were overloaded. And the queue was over 40 hours long at certain points. Now remember, the beta only lasted a few days. So if you had to wait for like over a day, like over 24 hours literally in a queue, that was a good 25% or more of the beta gone. Straight up. And then God forbid your client crashes, that's another 40-hour queue. God forbid you had to like go to work or go to sleep. Really, really harsh conditions. But there were streamers who had a whitelist. They could skip the queue. They could just get in instantly, which there isn't a problem with that. Like, they should have done that. Obviously, if you have your new game on Twitch and everyone at the top of the page is just in waiting queues, that doesn't look very good. So Riot should have had a whitelist for these streamers to help the PR for their game. But no one mentioned anything about this. Hafu at no point, neither did any streamer, Hyped, or any of these top super pro streamers ever mention that there was a whitelist that allowed them to get through these queues. Now imagine the absolutely insurmountable advantage if you are a normal person with a 40-hour queue to get into a game, compared to one of these people who are on the whitelist and didn't have to wait at all. They could like open up the game, play a few games, close it, get dinner, come back, open it back up, play it. They could basically play in all they wanted. Unlimited amount of time that they could play. Do you really think that you have any fighting chance against that? Like, unless you're some sort of god, there's no way. When someone has a over 40-hour, potentially 80 hours if you have to queue up twice, advantage over you in a beta that only lasts a few days, there's no way, right? And no one mentioned that. Hafu wasn't like, yeah, even though I had a huge advantage because I was whitelisted, I still got #1. No. So now, girls are going to see this, other women are going to see this, boys and men are going to see this, and they're going to be like, oh wow, that's so inspirational. If only I could do that. If only I could be really good like Hafu. Well, guess what? You can't. You can't be as good as Hafu because unless you're like twice or 3 or 5 times as good as she is, because she is on a whitelist and you're not, and she didn't bring it up, which is incredibly dishonest. And like I said, it's not just Hafu. I don't think that she's even the worst offender. She just happens to be the example that came across my desk at the time. But this is happening so much where streamers have early access to things or early advantages to things and then focus about how good they are on day 1 or day 2 when no other person, unless they're some sort of god, could possibly be as good as they are because they didn't have early access. And you have children looking at this, and you have impressionable young adults or whatever looking at this and just being disappointed because they're saying, wow, I tried my hardest and on day one I wasn't even close. So this video is not going to change anything, unfortunately, but it's just a real shame. I wish that the culture would stop shifting towards the Twitch flash in the pan mentality. Because, I mean, Hoffa was just an example, but if we stick on her for a second, she has plenty of legitimate achievements that I mentioned earlier, where she's been quite good at multiple games, and she's dedicated a ton of time and effort and energy and practice into being good at games. But it's just really sad that that was never brought up, and instead a illegitimate achievement on a game that's 3-4 days old is the thing that got in all the articles. That's just a real shame for any of the people who that was trying to be an inspiration for. I feel one of the reasons I feel so strongly about video games is because it's not like sports. I mean, I love sports and stuff are cool, but video games are truly one of the great equalizers. Most people are playing on an equal playing field when it comes to games. Like if you're playing basketball and you're like me and you're like 4'2" or whatever, and you're playing against someone who's 6'5", who's never played the game before, they're probably going to own you. They're probably just going to own you anyway, unless I was a real experienced veteran. But on day one, if we both go at it, he's just going to own me no matter what. If I'm like a football linebacker, I weigh like 90 pounds, guy. I weigh like 45 pounds. Like if I'm up against a football linebacker who weighs 250 pounds, giant, like he's going to slaughter me. It doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter. But video games, you don't have that. It's all about hard work and practice and dedication, and obviously how much time you've put into it, right? How much history. So that's I wish that it would be shown off more for that. Getting good at games is about hard work over a long period of time, guys. That's all it is. You need a good mentality. You need to practice, and you need to be consistent. You need to have a plan. If you do that, you'll be good. And this is at anything, not just games either, right? How good you are at something on the first day is meaningless, and if you focus on that, you're just going to wind up quitting. Yeah, that's all I have to say about that, guys. So the thing I said about TFT before was a joke. I actually haven't played anything. I was just in queue for 90 minutes or whatever. But I'm going to start streaming Teamfight Tactics just because it's a really big game, and I think that would be a good one to show it against, because I don't really know anything about it. The last time I played League of Legends was 3 or 4 years ago. So I'm going to do a streaming series starting tonight, here on YouTube. I might switch over to Twitch later, where I just go through my thought process of literally day one. I want to learn a game. What am I going to do? Am I going to look at reference materials? Am I going to play the game? I'll go from day one. Apparently Ranked is going to come out in like a week or so for Teamfight Tactics. So, and then maybe that's probably going to be seasonal, right? So I'm just going to go all the way from me starting to rank coming out to me being, my goal is to be whatever the highest rank is. If it's like Diamond 1 or Masters, or I don't know, whatever the highest rank is, that's not overly ridiculous. Like maybe top 10 is a little excessive. Like I don't think I need to work that hard to get I don't think I need to work that hard to get that high in a single game that I don't plan on going pro in. But whatever the highest rank is, I'll just get that. And yeah, hopefully it should be educational. And it's not going to be 1 or 2 or 3 days. It's going to be probably 2 weeks to a month, because that's how you get good at things. And yeah, hope you tune in. Follow on Discord. Follow on Twitter. Follow me on Plurk, where I'll be plurking soon. So I have, like, my setup is finally here, guys. I can make videos, and it doesn't take 7 hours. So hopefully I can make more of those as well. Never forget to stay positive, and have a great day. I'll see you in probably a couple hours on the stream. Adios.